Welcome to Blake Street Banter, where one of us knows what the word banter means, the other one knows what's actually going on today, and we are here. All of us are along for the ride. Isaac in the chat, best day ever. Of course, I texted you. I was like, of course, this is the one day I have to work this for the last 2 weeks because of all the snow we've been having, and it was the one day I wasn't able to keep up with all the transactions. But I'm giving a huge shout out to the BSB team right now. Just all of it was just teamwork. They're like, yo, I got this. Can anybody do that? Yeah, we got this. So just huge shout out to the entire BSB team across the board. We all have lives. We all have things going on, but we're still able to just like, can you see this? Yeah, let's create it. Let's do it. I don't know. Just huge shout out to you all of you BSB. I didn't do anything today. It was all the other guys, which is fantastic. I love that part of our team. So I don't know. Biggest takeaway. Let's not get into it. Let's let it build up a little bit. But what's your biggest takeaway today, Tyler? Like, so much to do.
I mean, this was the day I think we really got to see. I don't know if like plan is the right word, but the philosophy in action that we're not messing around here. And I don't think that anyone should be hyping this up like, oh, we're trying to win a ton of games in 2026, but they're clearly trying to put a more competitive team out there. They're trying to improve the team. And some people might think, oh, we got to let these young guys play, and we're going to revisit that as a topic for sure. But yeah, let the young guys play. But also we need to actually test out whether certain things are going to work at altitude, whether they're not. We need good players to test out our advanced scouting, our game planning, and things like that. So you've got to put a serious team out there, and they're taking a lot of steps to make that happen.
Yeah, we just added 3 pieces, really. 2 of them have major league experience, and one was kind of blocked in New York. And so what does that look like? And I don't know if we're getting our first baseman that we all want. I don't think Luis Ariz is coming to Denver anytime soon with this. We'll get into that a little bit. But I think let's just start with the Yanquiel Fernandez news. I found that very interesting. He was DFA'd today. So we have, 48 hours for a team to claim him off of waivers to work out a trade. I think somebody said it might have been you in the chat, Bradley Blaylock-esque, like, hey, we're going to put this out. We're going to DFA. It might be great to have him back in AAA, but if not, there's definitely a trade piece somewhere out there for him. Yanquiel Fernandez, I think, screams to what you just said about the philosophy going forward with the Colorado Rockies and what they want. Like, they added Jake McCarthy, big speed, defense, has contact, has patience at the plate. We added Julien, that is patient, can get on base. Yanquiel Fernandez, we all love his power. His raw power is insane. Hasn't been able to put that into game, but big swing and miss rates. He was walking decent amount in minor leagues. We didn't see it much in the majors.
Yeah,
but it kind of screams like, all right, we have a crowded outfield. We know that. So we got to cut space somewhere. And I think pretty sure Yanquiel was on the 40-man. He had open. Duh. Yeah. So we're cutting somebody from the 40-man to make some moves. And here we are. On a scale of 1 to 0, I think I'm a 0 on the list. I don't like the move. I am a big Yanquiel Fernandez guy. If you've been listening to BSB for a long time, that's been screaming for 3-4 years. I saw him in Fresno, came up, and like, I don't know. There's just something about that raw power that I absolutely loved. Granted, I've been burned before, so I get it, but I don't like it. I don't know. I feel like there could have been some other moves made before going straight to Yank.
Yeah, agreed. He seemed like someone who was insulated by at least 1 or 2 spots still. Those bats that you could part ways with. Just that upside. You want to take a shot on new development strategies with him, but again, we'll see what happens. I would imagine he's either going to get traded or claimed, but there's probably a 1 or 2% chance. Like, teams realize this guy is a bit of a ways away from being a big league contributor and let him go through waivers. But we have seen this, just to kind of raise this, it's not that important to the grand scheme of today, but a lot of teams have been abusing waivers, for lack of a better term. They claim a guy and immediately, we saw this with Drew Romo, kind of saw with Dugan Darnell. Teams are claiming guys, immediately putting them back on waivers like a week later with the hopes that then they will actually get through waivers and go to AAA. So keep seeing that. I just imagine that's exactly what's going to happen with Fernandez at the least. Like, he is an attractive enough player, so imagine someone's going to claim him. Rockies will hopefully work out a trade so that they get, even if it's a Jake Brooks for Bradley Blaylock type of situation, something back in return is not the worst case scenario. But yeah, I didn't love it. At the same time, I don't think he's a guy who would have contributed this year. 2027 is a bit of a question, just really, really raw player. And clearly this is an organization now, new front office, that wants players who can contribute as soon as possible. And then they want to add their own prospects of a different mold to the organization and sculpt those guys. So I think that's the sad reality of it. Just a lot of those tough decisions are going to keep coming over the next year.
Right. And they're making those tough decisions. So I think we're trusting the process. We're trusting the new front office and thinking they know what's best and leaning into that. But there is something about losing a Drew Romo, a Yanquiel Fernandez without really getting a shot with the new regime. That's kind of a thing where I'm at. I'm trying to battle my demons with how to take that. Like, all right, you're the new regime. You have all these plans in place. Why didn't Yanquiel Fernandez get that leash, so to speak? And why is Zach Veen? Not to say he should have been cut, but these are two very similar trajectories where they are right now in their careers. So why is Zach Veen getting this then instead of Yanquiel Fernandez? Because Veen might offer a little bit more all around than Yanquiel Fernandez, who probably is going to be a DH in 5 to 6 years. Maybe a relief pitcher, two-way pitcher, because he can just launch it. Oh, it's interesting. I like this because it allows discussion, allows banter for what is this front office thinking and what does this mean for the guys going ahead. I mean, it's clear they have their 4 outfielders. Like, we know what those are. But then the next level is Zach Veen, Yanquiel Fernandez, and Sterling Thompson. And I think there's another one in there I'm missing. But that just got one less shorter. So where we're going with that. And so, oh, it's interesting. We'll see what happens. I think he gets picked up. I'm glad you mentioned that DFA manipulation thing because I didn't really ever think about that. That makes sense, and that's kind of shitty. But that's where we're at. So we'll see. Make your predictions. Where's Yanquiel Fernandez go? Who picks up Yanquiel Fernandez?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a team that can afford to wait. If they're going to keep him, afford to wait on that talent because I really don't see him as a guy contributing to any team in 2026.
Probably not.
So maybe late in the season you give him his month, but unfortunately the Rockies got a little pressed into playing him sooner. Like he did not. I don't want to say he didn't earn it, but he did not bust the door down in AAA coming up to the big leagues. That was kind of we saw last year with the front office. A few guys they tried to kind of force them into these roles to be like these are the young guys we've tried to develop, and a couple of those guys are gone already. Yeah. So Yanquiel Fernandez obviously was on the 40 man I think this was his second year on the 40 man. So it wasn't like he got rushed onto the 40, but he wasn't quite ready for the big leagues.
Let's get to the first trade that got everything going. Was Angel Chivilli is headed to the New York Yankees. It looks like Paul DePodesta knows somebody in the Yankees. No, actually, no, never mind. The Yankees like to work with the Rockies, but the Rockies, Paul wasn't around when they traded McMahon and Bird. But yeah, Angel Chivilli is a Yankee reliever, and we received first base prospect. Oh, man. I had it. I was ready. Rumfield. JT Rumfield. I need you all to realize I am coming into this blind. I got all the messages. Like I said, it was busy all day. I haven't had a chance to breathe until 5 minutes before this. So JT Rumfield, who I'm seeing a lot of good things about. The Yankees fans are like, he's good. Relax, he's good. He just didn't have a chance with Ben Rice doing his thing up in Yankee country. I think you got a good one. So JT Rumfield, not a 40 man, I understand. He's going to be AAA, pushing the envelope with Blaine Crim and Troy Johnston. Left-handed bat, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we added to another left-handed bat. First base eligible. Here we are working through our first base issues, which kind of refers to my first point. Then we'll get into what this offers and what we lose in the 2 players. It doesn't feel like they're going to sign a first baseman now. The group chat has been talking about Paul Goldschmidt. This would be kind of fun little duo with Crim. That'd be great. Whatever. Luis Ariz. I think a lot of Rockies fans, I don't know if you should be scoffing at Luis Ariz and Coors because I think it would absolutely slap, literally pun intended, and at Mile High. So, but none of this feels like we're going to get a major league first baseman we're going to go in with these three guys to fight over it, with Sterling Thompson getting some recognition to work at first base at spring training as well. So am I wrong in any of that? What are you taking away from this trade? What are you taking away and what we're gaining? And we'll talk about what we're losing in Chivilli in a second.
Well, I think what's really money here for the Rockies was opening up that 40-man spot. They were full coming into the day. See, Chivilli traded. It seemed like he was someone who might have gotten DFA'd. Just had a really poor 2025 season. Again, this front office is not. They want to try and work with the talent in-house, like they've said that. But at the same time, they're not going to force themselves to try and reclaim every player that's here. So he seemed, I wouldn't say maybe likely is the right word, to be DFA'd as they look to make more additions. So the fact that they traded him for TJ Rumfield, which an interesting thing is we just had the Rule 5 draft happen not long ago. We were digging through all these possible guys. Rumfield is someone who popped up in discussions for a lot of people, like saying this is like one of the better bats available. He should be taken because he just destroyed AAA pretty much last year. It was like a 350 on base. I didn't look at the on base number well enough.
378.
378. Way better.
Yeah,
way better.
Insane numbers.
Like the walk rate's really strong. Doesn't strike out that much. He doesn't have a ton of power for a first baseman, but this is a guy who just profiles as a very safe, secure hitter. He's going to make a lot of contact. He's going to have a knowledge of the zone. And then, he's going to pull the ball in the air quite a bit too and make hard enough contact. So you get this first base edition. He's someone who can play at any time, but they're not going to rush him since he's not on the 40-man yet. That's the beauty of this, is that 40-man flexibility. And then kind of jump into your other point, like what happens now first base. And I think today, also going back to the philosophy, a really good emphasis today that like there is no restriction. There is no like rigid plan. Like we're going to have probably 5 or 6 guys who play 3 or more positions this year. Like there are guys who can play everywhere, and it's not going to be just this one set group and this one set group. Like we have a bunch of guys who are going to play multiple positions, and that affords you to do whatever you want with the lineup. Play the hot hand, play the platoon matchup, a lot of different things. Option, this guy and have this guy ready to go. So Rumfield doesn't play into that as much. He's a first base only, but there's like 5 guys who could play first base. There's like 5 guys who could play second base. There's like 6 guys who could play the outfield right now. It's crazy. And I like that they're giving themselves all these options. Rumfield being the fresh guy that you could give, now time at first base, be that extra option at first base.
And I think you summed it up nicely there. And we'll get into Rumfield more in the stats here in a second. But so they DFA'd Yank. They traded Chivilli for the 2 open roster spots, and then they made another trade 2 hours later with the Twins to bring 2 more players onto the 40-man. So it is a full 40-man, at least according to the Rockies 40-man roster that I'm seeing online. But to your point, I was looking at it, and Troy Johnston is listed on this as an outfielder. Willie Castro is listed on here as an outfielder. And so we're talking about all this flexibility. Fantastic. Love it. Thomas Harding just put out an article. I wasn't able to read it because who's got time to read, but it's the title was he's leaning into Warren Schaefer and crew are wanting to lean into AJ Hinch and what the Tigers are doing. Something I've been talking about all the time. Like they have a plan for all these players. They know what this player can do and what that can look like. And it felt like that with the Jake McCarthy. It made sense because Mickey Moniak, you do your thing 1 through 6. Jake McCarthy, you got your thing 7, 8, 9. Let's go do it with speed and defense. Let's go figure this out. And you just added Rumfield, who doesn't really play into this conversation. The other 2 guys really do. But you're just adding all these pieces, all these depth pieces to a team that just can only make it better. And they've been screaming at us from the rooftops. Pun intended there too. I'm funny tonight, y'all. There is a plan. It's going to be a competition. We're going to go do it, right? And this is where we're at. And adding a talent like Rumfield bumps up our first base prospects tremendously because who was the first base prospect? We love our boy Zach Kaminska, but he had a down year last year. We don't know where that's really going in the future. Beyond that, what's at first? We don't know. So we just added depth at a first base position at the AAA level to push Johnson and Krim and just push the envelope. And to get into the Rumfield, the nice little graphic that you put up on our Blake Street Banter Twitter. If you're not following us, go follow us. He had a WRC plus 121 last year. Noah in the article on our website, blakestreetbanter.com. I am plugging as well. Keep up, y'all. He finished the league third in hits last year in the International League and fourth in total bases in International League players. I don't care what league you're in. I don't care what team you're for. If you're in the top 5 in any of those two things, sign me up all day. And he still popped 16 home runs and with 87 RBIs. So the 87 RBIs with 16 home runs, sign me up for that as well. Like, you're taking advantage of it. He still almost had a 500 slug with the low home run rate. So I think we added a dog in Rumfield. I just finished my 40-man BSB rankings last night, so now I'm gonna have to adjust everything. Don't know where he slots in, but I don't know. It's a nice piece when Chivilli was kind of a loose cannon. Didn't know what you were getting in Chivilli. He was clearly rushed from Hartford a few years ago to where it is now. Does he fit this loaded arm barn that we've been talking about is probably a strength for this team? So I really, really like this move just on a surface level, even if it wasn't a move to bring in other major league talents. Like, trading Chivilli for Rumfield is awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I don't want to get into a whole new like web here, but the building of the farm system ultimately didn't make much sense. That we were going for all these high power players where that was the calling card. It's like big frame, a lot of power, but somehow we ended up with no first baseman. Like, the only guy in the organization that has not debuted yet, but now besides Rumfield, it's Charlie Condon. He wasn't drafted as a first baseman, and who knows if that's going to be his position.
We don't know anything now with what Condon is going to be like.
Because frankly, it seemed like he was getting pigeonholed at first base because the Rockies realized, we haven't addressed first base meaningfully in like 5 years. We drafted Michael Toglia, and then we didn't draft the first baseman in a high round for like 4 years. So the Rockies didn't build that first base position at all.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt because I'm going to argue that we did have 3 first basemen on a top 10 first baseman MLB pipeline list, and it had to have been 23 or 24. It was probably 24. We had 3 in the top 10. One's on the major league squad now. One was Michael Toglia, and one is friends of the pod. The other one, actually, 2 of the 3 were friends of the pod.
I'm pretty sure Grant Levine was on there.
Grant Levine was on there. Michael Toglia.
Who's on the
Hunter
roster?
Goodman. Hunter Goodman was listed as a first baseman prospect back in 24 and was up there. And that was a thing. So we were stacked at one point.
It's kind of they've done a really weird. They did a really weird job building out this farm system. Did. Like, we didn't have any contact bats, but we also didn't have any first basemen. So like, we did kind of at one point have them, but at no point was I like Goodman kind of, but Goodman, he plays catcher now. So they really pivoted off of that quickly. And you're left with very little first base depth in the entire organization. That's been heavily addressed in the last year now. And we had 2 guys today potentially to play that spot. I think that's a nice segue into the Twins trade. Edouard Julien. I think that's been a topic in the replies a lot today. People asking, like, what are we doing with Julien? What are we doing with first base? I think Edouard Julien, very good chance that he is a primary first baseman for this team. He didn't play well at second base in the past at all. And this does not seem like a front office that wants to put I don't want to slander anyone too much, but a player who's not going to succeed defensively out in the field. They don't seem like a front office that wants to do that based on their moves so far. So are we going to put Edouard Julien at second base? I don't know. that's kind of what I'll say there. I think he's going to play a lot of first base. So you've added 2 guys who potentially play first base. They've kind of addressed that position in many ways already this offseason.
And let's hear from our beat writer from Colorado, Eli Whitney here. He just got off the presser with Paul De Podesta, Christian Saez. Thank you for popping in right after you're doing your thing into our chat. But I'm not going to even read what Christian said. He's not our guy. He is our guy, but he's not our guy. We're going to talk to our guy first, and then we'll get to Saez. Got to throw all the shade when I can, but I mean it with love, Saez. Appreciate you always hanging out with us. It does mean a lot. But Eli, what did you hear? You've been hanging out for 20 minutes with Paul and crew. What did you figure out? What did you find out?
If I took one thing away from that, I think, and it's kind of, I'm sure you guys have talked about it, and it's pretty apparent just from what we've seen, versatility is going to be a theme. You've got a lot of guys that can play a lot of different positions. And, as we asked some questions about where guys are going to be and what the fit is exactly for everybody, it felt as if there was a concerted effort not to put anybody in a box. Nobody is necessarily going to be outside of maybe Rumfield. There was no discussion of Rumfield playing anywhere but first. But in regards to Julien, it was pretty non-committal, but it was definitely an idea that people can play multiple different positions and we're not going to prevent them from trying to do so. I think the words he used was, with this roster and the way that we're building it, we see a lot of competitiveness, competition, and a lot of fluidity. So I think guys are going to have an opportunity in spring to prove their ability to obviously wield the bat, but be able to do so while playing in different defensive positions.
And that backs what Saya said. He has lots of confidence in Condon, but reference adding more competition ahead of him at first. And yeah, like you said, we did kind of reference the competition piece being a thing. We were spot on with Rumfield being first base only. So all that kind of tracks with what we were kind of assuming going forward. So that's good to hear. What was your question? Eli with the best question in the presser.
I went into first of all, thank you, Christian. Shout out. I don't know about all that, but I appreciate it. My question was just, as he talked about allowing guys to compete at different positions and the roster having a fluid nature to it, you added 2 left-handed first base options this morning, 2 guys that can really wield the bat and have shown the capability to play first. So what does that maybe mean for guys like Sterling Thompson and Troy Johnston, who have shown the ability to play first base, but also are more than capable of roaming around in the outfield? Do you see them primarily as outfielders now, or will we see them get an opportunity to play some first base?
Fantastic question. That was a great question. Well done.
I appreciate it. I had about 15 minutes on the walk from campus to start.
And what did he say? And how did he answer that? Just fluidity?
Same general kind of theme. Just again, the idea that we're not going to put anybody in a box, so they're probably going to see some action at first base, and even kind of went as far as to say that there may be some guys playing some positions that you haven't either seen them play anytime recently or maybe ever. There was definitely kind of, there wasn't, any names named or anything specific, but it seems like all options are pretty open on the defensive side of the diamond, and they're gonna explore everything. And they see, in terms of the guys on the 40, they see a lot of people that are capable of helping this ball club, not necessarily just in March, but just throughout the season as things happen.
I'm intrigued by this. And I think the biggest takeaway is they can have 12 guys, and I like the word that you're using, wield the bat. 12 guys that can do that, and you can play the best 9 on any given day, given the matchups. So I love that. But I think we're going to need to start a little Twitter trend based on that kind of mystery of positions there, like someone's hot take of where someone's going to play that they never have before. Can we get Hunter Goodman playing some third base or something like that? They kind of need some help at third base right now, so anything seems possible.
Yeah, Freeman was joking at FanFest that he's just trying to play everywhere. He said he's coming for Goody's position to catcher. So guys are ready.
Dude has a cannon, so he could do it. And I think that's bringing up Freeman. I wanted to bring him up earlier. He's that other guy that seems to get lost in every single conversation.
Yes, he does.
But he can play basically every single position. And I think Harding even mentioned that there's he mentioned after talking to Depot, just picking up kind of insights, that he thinks Freeman might even play a little bit of first base. So yeah, Tyler Freeman is going to play I don't love that idea, but if you had to do it, he could truly play every position on the field. Probably could pitch as well. So let's see Tyler Freeman take all 9 spots in a season.
Freeman is our Swiss Army knife. I would have had a follow-up question. So we just heard you say Brenton Doyle is going to play second base, and just would have left it at that because that would be fun. Like, what are the craziest things? Ritter in right field. Willie Castro can play everywhere. Like my real thought, my plausible thought was like, all right, is Mickey Moniak grabbing a first base glove? Could that be something that actually makes sense in a way? It kind of does. So the fluidity piece, I absolutely love that as a fan. Then we'll get into Julien and Pierson Ohl moves for our guy Jace Kaminska. It's a bummer that we're losing that guy, but it was I don't even know what I was talking about. I literally forgot my trade.
Prefacing the Twins trade. I don't know if you had a specific angle.
It was something profound. I know it was there, but
with Edward, we kind of teed that trade up and then left it teased there a little bit. Edouard Julien, who we've mentioned a fair amount. The name Pierson Ohl, I think you said it just now. That's the first time we've said Pierson Ohl now on the podcast, and he had some love after getting DFA'd by the Twins 2 days ago. A lot of the pitching-minded people on Twitter who dive into the pitch data and all that were like, why are the Twins DFAing Pierson Ohl? This is a guy with talent. I have a good friend in the industry that immediately after that trade happens, he's like, that is a sweet trade for the Rockies. Pierson Ohl's great. That seems to be the consensus around Pierson Ohl. Not going to blow you away, but to turn the page from all the versatility, the position players, Pierson Ohl seems to be a guy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Aaron. He fits the bill a little bit. And Kyle Freeland was talking about this a little bit at the media session during FanFest of, they want to pound the zone. They want to do that with confidence and belief. Don't kind of start to nibble because you get nervous at cores or if you get hit hard once or twice. And I think Ohl's the guy who fits that bill. Just in the limited experience from last year, I think his walk percentage here is 5.3%, which is seemingly in line with the philosophy of what they'd like to do. You know what I mean? Don't put guys on. So I think it fits in that place as well.
Yeah, I mean that's his calling card really in the minors. Every step of the way, it was walk rate is in that 5 to 6 range, which I don't think the Rockies had a pitcher with maybe Tanner Gordon was in that zone, but still might have been a tick above that. Like you're getting a guy who throws a ton of strikes. He does pitch with confidence. He got hit somewhat hard. I think that's going to happen with a lot of young guys coming up to the big leagues. He was someone who wasn't really even supposed to get to the big leagues, like a 13th round pick, and he gets to the big leagues in like 2.5 years. So you're going to get hit hard, but that walk rate is always going to work there. The fact that he can control 5 pitches, and to allude to Luke Warlick's question, there's 5 pitches there. And my favorite one is the knuckleball, which he didn't throw much. He didn't throw much in the majors last year, just 5 times out of 544 pitches. But he has a knuckleball that he threw more in the minor leagues. It can get up to like 83 miles per hour. We all want to see that at Coors, right?
Yeah, just give me all the movement. Like what does altitude do to a knuckleball? I don't know if we know that. I don't know if we ever saw Tim Wakefield pitch his knuckleball when he was ever in Colorado. So what does altitude do to a knuckleball? We don't know. But yeah, he's bringing a 4-seamer, a changeup, a cutter, a curveball, and he throws a sinker every once in a while. But it's really the 4 pitch mix, and hopefully we get to see that 6th pitch of the knuckleball there. We'll get into the pitch mix, so maybe some other time that could be a good data dump pod or something. Also, huge shout out, another plug, deal with it, BlakeStreetBanter.com. We have a new behind the scenes analytics thing going. We just added a guy named David doing his Purple Berry stuff for us, and he just looked at home road splits, how certain hitters are adjusting to home road data. And so like Ezekiel Tovar, he just needs like a day to go be a dog, where like Hunter Goodman, I don't know if this is right or not, I can't remember, brains everywhere, but he might need, I think Hunter Goodman needed like 3 days before he was able to hit on the road again. And so what is that adjustment looking at it? And so we boosted our analytics department. Huge shout out to David and Sean. You'll get some more stuff from Sean too. Like we're looking into all that. So go check that out on BlakeStreetBanter.com. It is a data dump written article. We're bumping up that stuff. Not something you see very many other places. So go check out that and give David some props for that. But it's exciting. I want to see all of it. I think it's an upgrade. I like the Ohl like if we are comparing apples to apples in relievers comparison, I think losing Chivilli and adding Ohl was a pretty good move, and as well as bumping up your first base prospect list. I don't think I'm mad about that. The Edouard Julien one is surprising. I think I need to be persuaded on how this one makes sense. I get the major league talent. I get the flexibility. I get the all the boxes being checked by the front office. However, the 220 average last year that has just gone down from his 263 rookie campaign. His on-base percentage is less than 300%, or right around 300%. The strikeout rate's around 30%. Granted, he barrels the ball quite a bit. I think I need to be sold on what Julien brings to the table.
Yeah, from a non-statistical standpoint, just based off of what we heard from Paul during that presser, he talked a little bit about Jake McCarthy in this way as well. You know, there was a question regarding the last couple of years being a bit of a struggle. You know, the fact that we've seen what both of those guys can do, but that, you know, they're not coming off career years by any sense. And one thing that Paul said was how difficult it is to not be an everyday player, and that those guys were not playing as much as they were used to. I thought that was interesting, just in the nature that he's talking about. Guys are going to play different positions and we're going to try different things. You know what I mean? I think it's not impossible, but difficult for me to see those guys playing every single day. So, you know, part of the problem still arises for me there. But his main point was the way that they view those two guys was, although the last 2 years for Julien and last year for McCarthy were not great from a numbers perspective, they felt like the fundamental parts of their game that allowed them to have those breakout years had stayed relatively consistent, and that with, you know, some development and a few tweaks, they felt confident that they could get them back to a place where they once were.
Yeah, that's a good scoop. And also, yeah, to your point, it is hard to envision those guys getting, like, not everyone in this group. We've spent a lot of time talking about it, that there's a lot of guys in the mix at all different spots, and most of them are not going to get to play every day because of that. Like, their goal is to get at least 9 guys and probably more like 10 or 11 playing all over the place and playing most days. So is it Julien? Is it McCarthy? Like, some of those guys are still not going to play every day. So I hear kind of what Paul's saying there, but yeah, it's a good scoop to kind of think about. Someone's going to get shorted there. But also, like that you mentioned, they still just believe in the core skill set, which with Julien, and maybe to kind of sway you a little bit, Aaron, I know we talked about this before the show started. In 2023, 100th percentile chase percentage. Like, how often on Baseball Savant do you get to see a 100 on there? And frankly, for a really key stat, a guy that he's not swinging at pitches out of the zone. So that's led to some really great things over the years. Not a huge swing and miss guy. Like, there's swing and miss. He strikes out a lot. And a lot of that's just because he's working counts so deeply. So I think with him and then McCarthy being a slasher, a lot of contact, those are tools that they didn't lose that overnight. So hopefully we do get to see those guys bounce back.
And there could be a nice little platoon combo in Julien and McCarthy, because McCarthy doesn't hit the ball with power at all, and Julien, that's all he does. Like, he has a 13% barrel rate compared to McCarthy's 4%. So there is that flexibility and that different style, but still having that contact ability and working counts. Let's get to the chat and then we'll call it a day. I'm going to start with Wild the Innocent here. I know I missed some other chats later. Whatever. You'll be fine, guys. Come back next time. Wild the Innocent, how do you feel about what they gave up to the Twins in exchange for minor league Jace Kaminska and cash considerations? It hurts me a little bit. Jace Kaminska is a Husker at heart. He is a friend of the pod. So there is some of that regional bias and just the friendship, but he had a great 2024 campaign debut season, but he didn't pitch at all in 2025. So if you're giving up just that kind of player and some cash for 2 major league caliber trial runs, so to speak, I think you take that 100 days out of 100 days. So I don't think you're missing it. I think Jace's ceiling might be a number 3 starter, realistically 4 or 5 starter with the floor as a long reliever in a arm barn, and you just gave that up for solid reliever and a solid depth piece at the major league level. I'm sure you guys agree with my sentiment with that. I don't think we gave up a lot. I don't think we're mad about giving up Jace Kaminska on a baseball player level, let alone the friend of the pod level. Yes, Isaac, David, and Sean are soon to be the Kobe and Shaq of Rockies Media Analytics. 100%. I'm surprised you know who Kobe and Shaq are. So congratulations to you, Isaac, and doing that. I am stoked about our analytics department, so to speak, coming for BSB. It's going to be fun. Already got the group chat going. This is an interesting take because I kind of put that in the group chat as well. Would have liked to keep Yank and DFA Veen. Never call for anybody's job and don't like really doing the comparison thing, but that's what we're talking about. Should they have? Why did they not? Let's word it that. Why did they not designate Veen for assignment and they chose Yank instead?
I mean, offensively, they're very much in the same place. Yank has more raw power, but it gets him in game about as much as Veen's power does. But Veen is a guy with huge stolen base potential, defense in the outfield. Like if his eventual outcome, which who knows if this is even guaranteed anymore, but if his eventual outcome is a utility kind of outfield guy, like playing center, left, right, like he actually has that in his bag. That is a potential outcome. With Yank, it is DH/corner outfielder or bust, and that would require him being an above average offensive player. Veen doesn't need to be an above average offensive player to be good. And I think they're pretty much in the same place right now offensively in trying to figure out high-level pitching. So I think that's why we're still seeing Zach Veen on the team.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. This is a good question. Why are the Rockies hanging on to Amador? I would have thought he would have been first to go before Yank. Do either one of you want to touch that before I do?
I mean, what I was thinking about earlier, obviously Amador has had a very similar trajectory to Yanquiel Fernandez, where the last 2 years have been rough, but he's a guy that at one point peaked in the top 20, 25 of prospect lists league-wide. Like he has an extreme pedigree, someone with a kind of to the point of Edouard Julien and Jake McCarthy. There is a skill set there that doesn't just go away. And in some ways, last year, it felt like it went away. The high contact, the good plate discipline, just zone awareness. It kind of didn't show up as much as we thought, but that's still the nature of his game. It's less variable than a lot of these other players that we've seen leave the organization. I think Amador needs to have a sit down with blanking on who the new hitting coach is, but needs to sit down there and come up with a more sound plan. I thought he'd get up to the big league level, and it didn't make sense what he was doing. So I don't know if that's on him or what. I think he's worthy of another shot in case he can become that 260 hitter with utility capabilities.
Yeah, and I think just from a roster perspective a little bit, and Paul referenced it a little bit, and I know we talked about it in the chat both this morning. We've kind of referenced it multiple times, especially since the McCarthy move. Just positionally, I think Amador is in a better position right now. Yes, second base is starting to get more crowded, but the outfield is, I mean, something had to budge. And I think I texted you guys this morning, there were 5 left-handed outfielders on the roster, and that was something that Paul talked about a little bit. They have left-handed bats that can play the outfield, and it wasn't necessarily that Yank was a guy that they wanted to be gone, but it was a position with players of a similar profile that was already pretty crowded.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Amador, his walk to K ratio is still something that you really can't teach, and I think you can add to it. I mean, his AAA season last year, he still dropped 11 homers, 59 RBIs. He only struck out 47 times. He's still posted a 300 batting average. Granted, it's Albuquerque. I know all that before you start yelling at me. But posted a 478 slug. At the major league level, he was still at a – where did my sheet go? He 21% strikeout rate last year with an 8% walk rate. So league average on each of those with 128 plate appearances, about 4 times as much as his first season. So you saw some of those skill sets coming into play after some more plate appearances from his first debut season. I think that can translate, especially with what this front office kind of wants to do. I think there's this contact ability that they want to do. he has that skill. He can do that. Giving that time, that sit down with Brett Pill, and Jordan Pacheco might be good for Amador. So I think Amador fits the need, to answer Saez's question. I think he fits the need of what this front office envisions more than what Yanquiel does. And I really think Yanquiel was kind of the odd man out just because of his inflexibility, like Eli just referenced, as an outfield only left-handed hitter. So, yeah. Anything else for the good of the cause?
While we're talking about the infielders, and when I think of Amador, at least right now, I inherently kind of think of Ritter just as another guy who was playing second last year. I wonder I would love to hear what you guys think. Is the vision there? Obviously he is at the very least an average and probably an above average defender. I know he was only, I think he was an out over average. So he's, a good defender. He can really run. But the K percentage was at 29.5% to 5% walk. As we also talk about the infield shifting and moving, is he a guy that you think maybe we could see at third base? Is that another name that could be thrown into that kind of third base conversation? And what does this spring look like for him?
Yeah, and I think Ritter's an interesting guy going into this. I don't know if it made it into the group chat out of my brain earlier when we were having these discussions, but it seems like Ritter, his sort of goal this spring training is to win that utility role. Like that's sort of where he's destined to end up, because I think he definitely can play third base, and we've seen him play second at the big league level. Won a Gold Glove in college playing shortstop, so I think he's playing for that utility role. But the Rockies obviously have the versatility to kind of push him out if that's the case, and have Amador be someone playing some of the days at second. So there's a lot of tug of war situations kind of going on where it's not a direct, it's not a straight line almost. It's like being tugged, across a couple of different points and thoughts. So I think that's sort of Ritter's eventual goal. I don't know if there's really a path for him to be a regular on this current roster.
How many times has Ritter played third base in his major league career?
I think I think he did it a couple of times last year.
He's had a game where he played third at least once. Once Toby got out.
One time. he at least no game. One time in Albuquerque, and that was it in 2025.
Wow. Okay.
Shortstop and second base is where his money is. Obviously, shortstop, Gold Glove caliber, but that third base. I mean, shortstop to third is an easier transition than most, but at a major league level, it's a little bit different. So that third base, like you reported, Eli, that Sterling Thompson is going to be taking some first base action. Ryan Ritter is going to be taking balls at third base during spring training. Like, there's no doubt about that. Does he push the envelope for Kyle Karros? I don't know. I think Kyle Karros might have a little bit better offensive profile at this moment as we speak. Ritter, I still like Ritter. I think his minor league track record proved that, but a lot of the underlying numbers aren't really proving that case after his year at the major league level. But I think that glove will keep you on a major league roster. And like Wildlands is questioning, is Kyle Karros still hanging on to his job, his name not being heard much? I think you see Willie Castro, Kyle Karros, Ryan Ritter fluctuating at third. Julien, I don't know. I don't think he's on the third base docket, but as we just kind of established over these last 45 minutes, anything goes. It goes for the pitching. We're seeing that with the players they're bringing in. We're going to see anything goes on the offensive side, defensive side as well. So it'll be interesting. I think Kyle Karros is the opening day third baseman unless something crazy happens. I just think he is kind of his. And Willie Castro's at second. And you got Tovar at third at shortstop. And I am going to put Blaine Krim as the first baseman to start opening day.
That's interesting, but I don't think it's crazy.
I don't know where else we're going, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like it could be a challenge to, as of today, guess the opening day lineup and see how many you get right outside of Tovar and Doyle, assuming they're healthy. Because I don't think many people would knock more than 5. I think 5 could be done, but after that, who knows where half these guys are going to play or who's going to play.
It makes it so much fun, though. Like the fact that we're having that kind of fun right now is so much better than Tyro Estrada is being signed for $2 million. Like, This is way more fun. And like our analytics department is bumping up at BSB. It's even in the chat here. Tay Cummins 3574. I did a research project on knuckleballs in college, and from a fluid dynamics perspective, words that I don't understand, altitude has very little effect on it. All right, well, that just yucked my yum. Thank you, Tay, for coming in there with that terrible news. So knuckleball, probably won't see it, but it's there in case we need it with Mr. Ohl there. Anything else for the good of the cause, fellas?
Excited.
Exciting. It's good stuff. Check out our website. We got a bunch of stuff going on. We got Rockies Fan Fest information dropping tonight, tomorrow with Eli. I'm sure we're going to have a write-up on the Twins trade coming up soon. The volume 2 of the home road split with David is going to happen. Data dump soon. We're getting into the swing of things, and I think today kind of got all of the juices flowing for BSB. So look out for content. Find us on Twitter. Find us on our BlakeStreetBanter.com. Find us everywhere. And we have a few more interviews coming up. I know we got 2 in the works. We got 1 for sure next Tuesday with a Rockies front office guy. So keep an eye out on our YouTube for that. It's exciting stuff. Nobody's doing what we're doing, as I kind of pump ourselves up. We like to have fun with it. We do things different. Nobody's giving the prospects conversations. What did we just talk to M on Monday? Just talked to Austin Eminer. Had Brody Breck last week. Fun. How many days tell pitchers and catchers report? I think we're down to like 20. I always put it around the 14th. It's always Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I mean, most of those guys are already there. I know people were like complaining about Rockies Fest being the day it was. That was like one of the last weekends that they're not in Arizona and starting the season. So you got to kind of time it where you can.
Dude, those people are so dumb. If you're one of those person, you can go ahead and just shut me off. If you were mad about the Rockies Fest happening during the weekend of the Denver Broncos playoff game, conference championship game, you can go kick rocks wherever you want to kick rocks. That's just you wanting to be mad about the Rockies. Like, Woody Page, get out of here. It's so stupid. They raised $150,000 for charity. Woody, get off your little high horse, Mr. Blocking BSB. Whatever. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate you for hanging out. All right, I'm getting out of here before I keep it going. Bye, y'all.